Welcome to TechGen, where we explore the latest technology, innovative gadgets, and smart buying guides to help you make informed tech decisions. Is the NZXT Kraken Elite 360 RGB one of the best 360mm AIO CPU coolers for a high-performance gaming PC? How much cooling performance can you expect from its large radiator? How useful is the 2.36-inch LCD display? And does the combination of RGB lighting, NZXT CAM control, and a flagship cooling design make it worth considering? I've added a link below where you can check the latest price, current offers, and availability. The Kraken Elite 360 RGB combines a 360mm aluminum radiator with three F360 RGB Core fans and an NZXT pump or display assembly. The radiator measures roughly 401 by 120 by 27mm, while the included 3-fan array uses 120mm fans capable of 500 to 2,400 revolutions per minute, up to 75.12 CFM airflow per fan, 3.3 mmH₂O static pressure, and a rated noise level of 30 dBA. That large 360mm radiator gives the cooler plenty of surface area for transferring CPU heat into the surrounding airflow. In practical terms, this is the kind of cooling configuration that makes sense for powerful CPUs running demanding games, rendering workloads, compiling, streaming, or other sustained workloads. The F360 RGB Core uses a single frame design containing 3 fans, which gives the radiator a clean appearance while reducing the number of individual fan frames and simplifying the installation. Each fan uses a fluid dynamic bearing and is rated for a 60,000-hour lifespan, while the RGB system provides 8 LEDs per fan. The pump uses NZXT's turbine design and operates from 1,200 to 2,800 plus or minus 300 revolutions per minute, giving the liquid loop a wide operating range. The copper-cold plate sits directly over the CPU and is designed to distribute heat into the coolant efficiently. If you're enjoying this review so far, consider giving the video a quick like. It really helps support the channel. But the feature that immediately separates the Kraken Elite from ordinary AIO coolers is its LCD display. The current model uses a 69mm 640 by 640 IPS display with a 60 Hz refresh rate, brightness up to 690 candelas per square meter, and support for 16.7 million colors. That means the pump isn't just a functional cooling component, it can become the visual centerpiece of your PC. You can use the display to show system information such as CPU temperature, GPU temperature, or coolant temperature, while also using it for custom graphics and visual effects through NZXT's software ecosystem. Because the display is square and high resolution, temperatures and graphics can remain clear while occupying only a small portion of the front of the pump housing. The display orientation is software adjustable in 30-degree increments, which is particularly useful when the pump needs to be installed in different motherboard orientations. NZXT CAM also provides control over the cooler's display and lighting, letting you synchronize the visual appearance of the cooler with the rest of a compatible RGB setup. The cooler supports current Intel platforms including LGA 1851 and LGA 1700, as well as AMD AM5 and AM4, giving it broad compatibility with modern Ryzen and Intel processors. Installation is also designed around a simplified cable setup, with pre-applied thermal paste and a breakout cable approach. The 420mm tubing gives builders useful flexibility when positioning the radiator and pump inside larger cases. And the actual cooling performance backs up the flagship positioning. In Tom's hardware testing, the Kraken Elite 360 RGB delivered chart topping results in its test configuration. Under a heavy 165W CPU plus 275W GPU workload, the cooler reached 75 degrees Celsius using its quieter default coolant temperature control, while switching to CPU temperature-based control brought the CPU down to 69 degrees Celsius. That more aggressive configuration measured 40.9 dBA, while the default setup remained below the reviewer's 36 dBA measurement threshold. In another test with power limits removed, the cooler was able to sustain the highest CPU cooling performance in that test, while reaching 47.7 dBA at maximum fan speeds. So the practical takeaway is straightforward. The Kraken Elite 360 RGB has enough cooling capacity to make sense for high-performance CPUs, and you can choose between quieter operation and more aggressive cooling through its control behavior. For gamers, that means better thermal headroom during long sessions. For creators, it means a substantial cooling solution for sustained CPU workloads. And for PC builders who care about aesthetics, you get an integrated LCD plus RGB system instead of treating the cooler as something that simply sits inside the case. Compared with a conventional 240mm AIO, The 360mm radiator provides a larger cooling surface and three 120mm fans. Compared with basic 360mm AIOs, the Kraken Elite adds the high-resolution LCD and extensive software customization. And compared with large air coolers, the liquid design moves the primary radiator and fans away from the CPU socket, which can create a cleaner visual layout around the processor. For viewers searching for an NZXT Kraken Elite 360 RGB review, Best 360mm AIO Cooler, NZXT LCD CPU Cooler, RGB Liquid CPU Cooler, Best AIO for Ryzen 9, Best AIO for Intel Core i9, 360mm AIO with LCD, or NZXT Kraken Elite worth buying. This is clearly positioned as a premium flagship cooling solution. The combination of a 360mm radiator, three 2,400 revolutions per minute capable RGB fans, turbine pump, copper cold plate, 640 by 640 LCD, 690 candelas per square meter brightness, CAM software control, and broad AM4 AM5 and Intel compatibility makes it much more than a basic CPU cooler. So, is the NZXT Kraken Elite 360 RGB worth considering? If you're building a high-performance gaming or workstation PC and want strong 360mm liquid cooling combined with a premium visual centerpiece, the Kraken Elite 360 RGB offers a very compelling package. Its thermal performance gives it the capability for demanding processors, while the LCD and synchronized RGB lighting give you a level of customization that conventional AIO coolers simply don't provide. It's designed for builders who want both serious CPU cooling and a showcase component inside the PC.